Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, March 15th, which, if you're a Shakespeare fan, you know is the Ides of March. Big day in my household, all of us Shakespeare fans. Um, and the day after Pi Day, too. We didn't do a whole lot of Pi Day festivities yesterday, but we did talk about it. And now is this fateful day. So anyway, we're back. I'm excited to be here. I got my new pet dog, foster dog, yesterday. Um, she's a nice little dog. Doug, I don't see you requesting. Oh, there we go. Okay, Doug is not requested on Instagram. All right, so we got our foster dog. She's not camera ready just yet. She was spayed yesterday, which I guess I don't know her story, how they found her, what happened, but anyway, they spayed her, so she's been out of it. But she is here and just kind of shy. Doug, how's it going?
Going great, Matt. Happy
Yep.
Ides March.
That's right. Watch out for any friends betraying you today. This is the day for that.
I've always looking behind my back on you. I just never know.
Right, every day, not just this.
Never
day.
know when you're gonna come in with this knife.
That's right. Exactly. Yep. Can't trust anyone.
No. How's it going? You got the dog? I heard.
Got the dog. Yep, and she's been docile so far. Not really done anything.
Okay.
But getting along with the cat, which is nice. She's extremely submissive, extremely shy. I don't know what happened to her. She doesn't have a lot of teeth, so I have no idea what horrors happened to her. But it feels good to help get her back to normal. Hopefully, she'll become a friendly, nice dog for somebody. So one of these days, I'll bring her on the screen. She's very nice, but just I don't want to traumatize her right now because she's sore and everything. So anyway, it's kind of the only big news in my world, really. Thought I had something else. I officially did not do any workouts yesterday. I went in for that therapy that I told you about, the back thing, where I did a bunch of mobility type work, basically. And then I did a bunch more mobility work in the afternoon, full body stuff, not just that. So I figured, you know what? I didn't do a workout today, but I did mobility, and that's pretty important, maybe more needed for me than more working out. So that streak has officially ended, but still feeling pretty good about all that.
Yeah. How do you feel about it now that it's done? Is it like, does it feel different? I mean, are you disappointed? Are you not wanting to work out today? Like, how does that feel?
No. I'm really excited to work out today. I actually haven't really thought very much about not working out. It wasn't much of a decision or moment. It was just, I don't know. It just felt like it was time to do this instead. And especially because I've started this weight training plan where it's 4 days a week, and the other days, you're not supposed to do a bunch of stuff. So to do mobility and sometimes run and whatever else, it's all good. I'm at peace with that for sure. And it ended up being right around the same length as my running streak, whatever that was, 75-ish days. But a very, very good start to the year for me. I'm quite excited about that little goal, which I didn't really plan to become anything. But I thought it was just gonna be a month. So I consider that a success.
Yeah, I would say a huge success.
Yeah, thanks. All right, so can we pin Doug in the Instagram chat the YouTube address?
Yeah, I left the comment earlier, so you can go in and pin it.
Okay, I'll pin that. Let me give a question of the day. We're back to a question of the day.
Yes.
We got some explaining to do about this new Discord setup. But first, let me just cover the basic business as usual. We do the show every day, 11 a.m. Eastern, every weekday, in case you're new. It's on Instagram, but it's also on YouTube. It's better on YouTube, in my opinion. It's better camera angles. There can be things on the screen. You can see the articles we're talking about. The chat is lively and good over there. So check that out. That's youtube.com/NoMeatAthlete. We've also got a Discord, NoMeatAthlete.com/Discord. Although, Doug, you said we need to update that link. So I don't know about the status of that. But anyway, a lot of good activity happening there. We are presented by Compliment, lovecompliment.com. So I know I'm giving you a lot of URLs, but just feel like now and then got to touch base in case someone is new to the show. But speaking of that Discord, you added some channels yesterday, Doug. One person has become overwhelmed by the number of channels. We have to first acknowledge that. I do think it's a concern.
I saw you were already throwing me under the bus a little bit, saying we were going to cut back on the channels.
I said I'm considering it. It looks like a lot. I think what we need is an organization of those channels so that you can tell which ones are sort of administrative, like suggestions or follow people on Twitter. Those aren't, you don't need to check those every day. So I think we need to separate the active channels that are meant for constant conversation from the ones that are meant for like, hey, if you have something, type it in here.
I agree there. Yep.
So we'll do that. But it's really not it's not too bad. But that's going great. And the new channels that you added, I have yielded some nice things already in the form of questions. The first one, so Danielle P put a question in the one which was meant for like a, hey, ask Matt and Doug questions so that we can answer them on the show. But then Danielle put a question which is really like one of these questions of the day that we ask the audience. So I think that's a great one for today to start with. We'll also get to a question, an advice type question. But this one from Danielle is just for everybody. What do you do while you're listening to the podcast or the show? Because we've said not meant to be just like listened carefully, this show. You're not supposed to pay attention to it. Now if you're Mr. Jeffrey or who else? Or Aisha, if you're going to be sort of live chatting it the whole time, and like that's part of one of your roles is you live chat, you keep the chat going, then yeah, that's what you do. But other people are going to be running or, well, I guess you could be doing a crossword. That's what Mr. Jeffrey does.
Yeah, two people did crossword. We're doing crosswords yesterday, so
right. So anyway, that's the question. I have a feeling we're gonna get a lot of working out here. I know a lot of people will go for walks while they're listening to it. And of course, it's not just the live; it's also the podcast, which is where most people listen.
right.
So I have a sense there's a lot of mid-afternoon work slump. You put this on, and then sort of it just helps you get through the afternoon. That'd be my guess. But I'd love to hear what people say.
Yeah. So while people are writing in, because I do want to go over these, I do have some more Discord news. Yesterday, I did my first lounge hangout or sauna hangout. We need to change that name.
Oh yeah, the steam room. I saw Steam room. Or the sauna, whatever.
I did, and I was in there for about 20 minutes. Took about 10 minutes for anybody to join me, but but someone did.
I saw who did. John Oddens. He's our number one real suggestion guy.
Yes, and it was great. It was awesome. We got to hang out. We talked about our kids. We talked about being vegan in Canada. We just kind of caught up. It was really fun. His comment afterwards was that it felt like he was on the show, which is great.
So I saw that and I was like going backwards through Discord, and I thought before I realized that was the result of you hosting a little lounge hangout. I thought I was like, wow, is he local? And I didn't realize it. Did you and he go for a run or something? I thought that's what happened. But then I realized no, it's just a hangout. But still, you get to hang out, talk. I like it. I'm glad you did that.
It was cool. I'm gonna keep doing it, and I hope that others do too.
But did Aisha do it? Aisha says that was fun, Doug. Did she go in too?
She didn't do it. No.
Okay.
But maybe it was fun that I just did it,
Yeah, it is. Right. All right, good. Let's see. I'm trying to see what people are saying here. Aisha says that my mobility thing is true wellness, does not breaks the chain. Mobility is a huge part of a good program. Yeah, it's true. That's a good way of looking at it. So that maybe now that's my streak because I'm always doing something, whether it's mobility or working out. Mm-hmm. To answer the question about what people do, Aisha works while listening. Decidedly doing less work as I can't help but comment. That's true. While working, says Scott Mulholland. Sarah Slemp, walking and listening. Dale says 9 a.m. where she lives. So working at the same time. Usually doing a task that doesn't require much thought, so I can mostly pay attention. So that's sort of the opposite of the way the show is meant to be consumed. But
I'm supposed to be doing trig homework or something. I don't know.
Anne-Marie says crosswords during her lunch break, eating, etc. Danielle Pearman is a chemist. Listens to it live while working in the lab, hoping no one needs me.
Wow.
That could be dangerous. Doing chemistry stuff.
I know. Very cool.
Jeffrey, making coffees and breakfast, 8 a.m. where he lives. Sudoku or crossword. Good.
Michael's on his commute. Keeps my mind engaged with something positive.
Yep. And Suzanne says knit, commute, or bike indoors. 4 p.m. there. Wow. I wonder where that must be over across the pond.
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right. Like to hear that. I appreciate the positivity. It is meant to be positive. As much as it's goofy, as much as, we glorify the plant meats a little bit much maybe, or other unhealthy activities. I do hope people think of this as a positive influence. So I'm glad to hear that. Okay. So how should we do this, Doug? Do you have anything else to get into before we start content? And then we got to figure out where are we going to answer this advice question, which again, there's a channel in Discord now. It says Ask Matt and Doug something,
Mhm.
where we're going to try to like just, give you our thoughts on something.
Yeah.
day.
So
Or most
I
days.
have one more quick thing to talk about, and that is orzo.
Okay.
When do you ever eat orzo?
I very rarely eat orzo. I certainly have.
Mhm.
I used to cook from like Fine Cooking magazine a lot, and then just pick out the vegetarian, vegan recipes or veganized things. I don't really do that so much, but they always used to use orzo. It seemed like.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, we hardly ever use it as well, but we did a recipe last night. I think I didn't do it. So Katie did. I think it might have been from one of the Issa books or something. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But it was orzo with sun-dried tomato and spinach, and then like this sauce with wine and veggie broth and garlic and onions, and then you had this crumbled tempeh
Mhm.
on top that was
Sort of
it was that
like a
had
goat
been
cheese substitute.
yeah, and it was so
Oh
good.
yeah.
It was just a really good it was a really good dish, a really good meal, and I don't know, maybe I kind of am suddenly on the orzo train.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. You know what? There was a recipe from No Meat Athlete, really early days No Meat Athlete, and it had goat cheese in it. This is when I was vegetarian, not vegan. It was that early. Um,
Hmm.
and it was like had citrus cooked vegetables where you would cut up some onions and garlics and things and, put them in orange juice or something, lemon juice. I don't know what it was. But then, they just sort of get cooked in there. They don't really cook. They just, whatever that does to them. Uh, and then toss. So you get, good fresh flavors. And then, the goat cheese on it was good, but I'm sure a substitute would be just maybe not just as good, but it would be good.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and orzo is just pasta, right? Do people know that?
I think so. I think it's just like little. I don't know how you make it. Right, little cuts of
Yeah,
pasta.
it must be some machine that just cranks it out. You just put in a sheet of
Yeah,
pasta.
I mean, it was kind of like the best of like cross between pasta and rice, right? And it almost I don't know, just very different. So anyway, I'm stoked on orzo at the moment. If you have a recipe, send it in YouTube, send it in the Discord. I'd love to see it because I want to explore orzo a little bit more since I have cooked with it very little.
Good. Can you get a whole grain orzo? Because that's been one of my hangups. Is if you can't, then you're just eating white pasta,
Mhm.
and it'll seem like you're eating rice or
Yeah,
something healthy, but you're not. But I'm sure there is whole grain. I just don't know if I've ever had it.
I just googled it. It appears there it is, but this was not whole grain orzo. This was just
No, it's okay. Once in a while.
yeah.
Good. I cannot remember what I had for dinner last night. I was just trying to think about it, and I just
No pie.
didn't have pie for sure. I literally cannot remember what I had for dinner last night. I just don't know. Oh, I know what it was. I cooked a pot of black beans from Rancho Gordo, and we didn't really have
Ah,
dinner, so I put those over rice and just had beans and rice with some salsa verde on it,
nice.
and it was pretty good.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at this first question that has been submitted. Yeah, we're gonna need to make this segment more fun, have a sound effect or whatever that signals the beginning of it. But Natalia says, Natalia 13 from Discord says, creatine a necessary supplement for vegans, or shall I say complement? She jokes.
Ooh.
I like that. So that's a very good question. Is creatine a necessary supplement for vegans? The short answer for me is no, but I really like it. The reason one might ask if it is necessary is that it's the place we usually get it is red meat. Like red meat's like the place where people get the most creatine. I think maybe white meat, like chicken, has it as well. But so it's natural to wonder, should you add that to your diet if you are vegetarian or vegan? It's not an essential amino acid, so like your body makes some of it, and you don't need to get it from food, and nothing really that bad happens if you don't get it from food. I started taking it like just to put on muscle. Like it definitely helps me add weight. And the criticism, of course, is that it's just water weight. It helps you. It holds more water.
Yeah.
But like to jumpstart a workout routine, if you're trying to build some muscle, I think it's really nice to get that little bonus. At least you feel like you're getting results quickly. But it does help people lift more weight, and fast twitch sort of movements help makes you better. So endurance athletes probably no big benefit to creatine. Although I think I remember that Scott Jurek said he takes it. I could be wrong about that.
Hmm.
The other thing, why it's really worthy of consideration, I think, is that there's some studies and things that show that people who eat plant-based diets, vegetarians or vegans, who take creatine, they do better in terms of their memory and their cognitive performance in general. It is improved when you take extra creatine. And creatine is always, not, I shouldn't say always, but I think nearly always vegan friendly because it's made and synthesized in labs and things like that. So it's not a non-vegan thing. So anyway, I like it. There are side effects that are talked about, but it's always anecdotal, and studies just do not show problems when you take the right amount of it.
If
Good.
Do you lose a lot of? Obviously, if you're able to lift more weights, then you're going to kind of compound muscle gain on, and accelerate gains. But since it is kind of water weight, right? If you stop taking it, does it just? Do you pretty quickly?
Yeah, I think you do. You do lose that weight rather quickly. But like you said, if it made you stronger and made you able to lift more weight, then that must result in muscle that actually is real and not just water weight. So yeah, that's been my experience with it. I've always thought it's been fine. Never had any side effects or anything like that. So I like it. But yeah, there are a lot of people who don't, and inevitably, someone when I talk about it will say, "Oh, I had this one patient who in this one thing who had this liver, whatever, or their kidney, something happened when they had creatine." But if you look at studies, it's one of the most studied supplements there is, and there are not, from what I can tell, significant side effects or long-term risks or anything like that. So I like it. It's not like I use it my whole life. It's when I get into lifting, I'll use it for 8 or 12 weeks and then usually stop or take a month or two off and then go back on. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
What about you, Doug? Ever do it? Probably not with.
No, I've never taken it. I've never taken it. No, I'm a creatine-free man.
Look at you, drug-free, natural category.
Oh, yeah, but maybe it would help with my pull-ups for a little bit. So maybe I should.
Unless it makes you heavier. That's the thing. If it makes you hold on much more water, that may be one exercise that it doesn't help with. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Although it'll give you some it'll give you some added resistance. So you could train a bunch with the creatine, then you go off it. And while you do that, before the muscle goes away, you get a little peak, 1 rep max or whatever, max effort.
That's actually why I eat so many Quinn chips. Is it's the training technique.
The add resistance. Well, it's smart. I like it.
All right, do you need that extra taco tonight? Do I need that extra taco? Probably not, but it's good resistance training. So,
right. It's partly true. I think people who have a lot of weight or who are overweight have a tremendous amount of strength and muscle under it because you have to, right? If you wear a weight suit and that's 50 pounds more and you did your whole life with that on, you know how tired you'd get and how much muscle you'd build having to do that. So, so it's a real thing.
Is all creatine created equal? Is it
I don't know about that. I know there's all kinds of high-tech versions and things. The creatine monohydrate is like the standard one, and that's what I've always used. But I'm sure there are different ones that do different things, and maybe different ones that are less safe. I don't know. I don't know that much about it, but yeah, I don't know. So if you're interested, it's to me worth trying, but by no means is it necessary.
Yeah,
it's not like a B12 or D or DHA EPA. It's not in complement essential because it's not essential. So we didn't put it in there.
It is not, and it will never be. I would imagine.
We never know. Could make.
We might create a complement creatine, but
or complement brain health. Yeah, that's like all about maximizing your performance on memory tests.
There you go. But anyway, okay. Moving on.
All right, moving on. So that's that new segment. Like I said, we can try to make that more fun or streamline it or whatever. But I do like it. Maybe that should be the end of the show. But then we need to save time at the end to actually have time to do it. I don't know. We'll see. But keep those questions coming. If you have anything you're curious about, put it in there, and we'll give you our 2 cents on it. You can also ask fun questions.
We already got some good ones, and we kind of debated on which one to tackle. So we'll get. If you asked already, that doesn't mean that we won't get to yours tomorrow or later this week.
Yeah, someone asked how we met. If we hit it off right away, so we can tell that story at some point. But I wanted to.
I'm excited to hear your perspective on that one.
It's not nothing. Same as yours. All right. We got a good weather report today. You ready for this, Doug?
Let's do it.
It's also very sunny outside. I know Steven likes the weather report. I wore my Real Madrid shirt for Steven today because they're playing his team Liverpool in the second leg of a match with the Real Madrid really dominated the first leg. So it was sort of a troll of Steven that I tried to do, but he's not here.
He's not even here. No.
Okay. Here we go. New report, new analysis published in the journal Heart found that following a plant-based diet may reduce a woman's risk of heart disease and death by 25%. Nearly a third of deaths among women are caused by heart disease. And what they did here, they analyzed 16 studies that have already been conducted that evaluated the heart benefits of the Mediterranean diet. So a little bit of a stretch here to call this plant-based diet. But I think the Mediterranean is a form of a plant-based diet. Anyway, they found that of these 700,000 women that were included in these studies, monitored heart health on average for 12 and a half years, they had a 24% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and 23% lower risk of death. And then some stroke risk also mitigated. So pretty amazing. I don't know. What do you think about this? Just calling the plant-based diet the
same as the Mediterranean.
Mediterranean.
This is, we were talking about this last week because they called it the plant-based Mediterranean diet. Which, the true Mediterranean diet calls for fish and even small amounts of meat, I believe. So, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but, a win for plants nonetheless, win for plant-forward diet.
Yep. Lost your sound there, Doug, for a second. You still here?
Hey.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right. So that was Healthline. I got that one from healthline.com, who does a pretty good job of, I think, being balanced in their stuff. They're fact-checked. That's always good. But yeah, they just kind of made that. They just made that kind of jump. It was strange how they did that. Clearly the stuff is about the Mediterranean diet, but twice they called that the plant-based, a plant-based diet. So I don't know what are you gonna do? That's what that term, in all of its ambiguity, is for. Next one, Doug, you're gonna love this one. London-based Fungton, Fungtn. They're award-winning producer of alcohol-free craft beer. They've now launching a shiitake dark lager, perfect for the year of the mushrooms, perfect for the year of non-alcoholic drinks, which this one kind of feels like to me, at least the year I've talked about it the most. It has a unique stout flavor that's provided by the adaptogenic organic shiitake mushrooms. So the stout flavor comes from the mushrooms. They claim that the beer will not taste like mushroom. They also make a Lion's Mane IPA and a Rishi Citra hop. So now we can get these non-alcoholic beers plus some added adaptogens. And I kind of like this idea. I don't know why. Like that with the mushroom coffee, it just couldn't. I don't know. I can't figure out what the difference is. With mushroom coffee, it was just kind of a no-go for me. It's just never gonna be like the thing I look forward to in the morning. For some reason, I could see this being really good. And I don't know what the difference is, but they say this one has organic shiitake mushrooms, malt, barley, and hops. A light toasted biscuit finish that is vegan, gluten-free, and hangover-free. So I would be quite excited to try some Fungton.
I would too. This is cool. You're right. I am into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. I just went over to their website. It even looks good. They got mushrooms all over it. I think this is cool. I'm into it. I'm gonna see if we can find some somewhere. Wonder where you can get it.
I don't know. Hopefully they ship to the US. Yeah. So, what's your stance on mushroom coffee? Do you do that? I know you have.
I have. I don't with any regularity now.
Like,
I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea.
Right.
I have enjoyed it at times in the past. So, yeah. But I kind of just like a really good light roast coffee, just plain and simple.
Yeah, that's how I feel. And like, you're just not going to make that with mushrooms. If you do, it's just going to taste different. So maybe my excitement here is somehow that like this mushroom is going to be perfect in the stout flavor or dark lager. And it's not going to be, it's going to enhance the flavor of that beer rather than make it like beer plus some other flavor. That's my hope. We'll see if that happens or not, if we ever get to try it. But exciting to me.
Yeah, big time.
All right, next one. Bianca sent us this. She tipped us off on this one a day early. I did not get it into yesterday's show, but I saw it today on Veg Economist. California-based Shiru, Shiru, is a biotech startup. They've made a new fat. It's called Oleo Pro, Oleo Pro, all one word. A plant-based fat for use in alt meat and other plant-based food formulations. It is solid at room temperature like a saturated fat, but somehow it has a much improved nutrient profile. I'm trying to find the exact 90% less saturated fat than coconut and palm oils. But the fact that it holds its shape at room temperature tells me it's going to behave and perform like a saturated fat does, because that's what they do. They're solid at room temperature. And that tends to kind of create that, I don't know, just like a smoother, more buttery kind of mouthfeel. So in theory, it sounds good, but as Bianca pointed out, like it just sounds like a crazy ultra processed food. And
it does.
I don't know. That's kind of scary, but they're saying categorical upgrade. This is going to improve all plant meats because they're going to put this into those plant meats, and now they'll have the appropriate type of fat in them without all the saturated fat. So exciting, but yeah,
which
a little.
I mean, like if you're gonna eat an Impossible Burger, do you really care if there's ultra processed fat in there?
I don't know. I think some people do, because I think some people see pea protein. That's what's in Impossible Burger, right? I think people see that and they're like, oh, that's just peas. Like that's pretty healthy food. So I'm going to make it better fat too, because clearly people are going to care. Well, no, this is the opposite direction. People there is a market, at least Impossible thinks, for a lower fat Impossible, which they have now released. So some people will like this idea that it's a very low saturated fat meat, but yeah, will they go to that next level and say, but that means processing? I don't know. It's a very good question. You might be onto something there. The person who eats that stuff maybe isn't too sensitive to the ultra processed nature of foods.
Mr. Jeffrey points out that it sounds like trans fat all over again.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Like that was heralded as some great thing, and then turned out to be awful for us.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of feel like if you're gonna, depending on what you're putting it in, chances are it's going to be in a bunch of things like nuggets and burgers and stuff that where you're just really, I mean, people who are ordering those are not really paying attention at that point to what's on the back of the label.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It'll probably just make, it'll make processed food just continue to be processed, maybe a little bit more processed. I was wondering the other day, with all these advances in like with the ChatGPT stuff. By the way, have you seen this new ChatGPT, the new one, GPT-4, whatever it's called?
Yeah.
I saw someone like said it like they just said like program a game where there's like Pong, where it has like the flippers that knock the ball back and forth, and in 60 seconds just program the game. And it took a hand-drawn sketch and just made a whole website based on that little sketch. So just crazy stuff that it's able to do.
Wow.
But like I'm wondering are we ever going to crack the code, and someday these ultra processed foods will actually just be identical, and like the nutrition will be the same, because they're doing it with the precision fermentation. Like that stuff, although dairy is not certainly a food that necessarily we're going to mimic the health qualities of, apparently that makes the same molecule. And I have to imagine that the same molecule in your body, when combined with other same molecules as in a food, it's probably going to do the same thing as that food does. So I just wonder when ultra processed, like if in 5 years, even if it's just going to be like not unhealthy anymore because they figured out how to make it exactly like food.
Exactly the same. I mean, possibly, but then the question is like, what is it? Like what kind of health challenges do we not even know about? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And creating this stuff in a lab versus naturally, might create new health issues.
Yep. Very possible. We won't know until somebody tries it.
That's right. So let's see. Before we move on to the big article of the day, Jill asks what the name of the NA beer company is. I forgot to write it down, and now it's gone.
I think it's Fungton. Really not a good name.
Fungtn. And
So
I looked it up. You might be able to buy it online, but in store it's only in England, it looks like.
Okay. Well, maybe some of our European types can go get some and taste it for us.
Yep. And then Michael Rawdon wants to know, does mushroom coffee taste like regular coffee, or is it close?
Yeah, it's
not
the same.
really.
You don't think it is?
I mean, it is regular. I mean, it has regular coffee in it, but it definitely has its own taste, right?
I don't remember that. I thought it just tasted like heavily roasted coffee, like the Starbucks coffee that I'm currently drinking right now because I ran out of
Okay.
good coffee.
Like
so I
just
had that.
like burnt coffee.
Yeah, where it's like not
Mhm.
that pleasant and it's not what you want, not what you get excited about when you wake up. Uh, that's what it was for me, and that's why I didn't stick with it. I also just wasn't convinced that it had any health benefits.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Whereas, like, even if I'm not convinced somehow with the non-alcoholic beer, like it just seems. I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm not sure why it seems so much better in that than coffee.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So there you go.
I
All right.
I did think it had a distinct taste, but it's been a while.
I mean, it might have. Fair enough. You may have a discerning palate that I don't when it comes to that coffee. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
we know you're
Yeah.
not that way with pizza or anything like that. You'll just shovel whatever toppings you can into your mouth as fast as you can. But
Yeah.
with coffee, maybe you have a refined palate.
Yeah. Maybe.
All right. So next one. This is an article that I found. I've seen this for a few days or a few weeks, and I thought it was a redo of an article we've already talked about. It's from gambling.com, which is a little bit of a red flag for me. And the headline is plant powered states most likely to go vegan. So what I've decided is part of their content marketing strategy at gambling.com must be to do things that are sort of like probabilities, and they sort of assess probability of things and then hope to attract gambling minded people with that content. Weird strategy, but I think that must be what they're doing here. Because
Has it
they're
worked with
saying
you? Have you? You're a gambling minded
I was already in. Yeah. I already have accounts at all the things they're advertising here. So I don't know. DraftKings,
Okay,
FanDuel.
all
I mean, there's something for them to
right.
get from me. So yeah, I mean, I guess I found my way to the site.
Look! I've never noticed a website. You see websites do by country, give you certain content by country. This is by in the top right. It says North Carolina,
Yeah, there
which
you
I
go.
guess for gambling laws, they probably can have certain advertisements
For
based
sure.
on. Interesting.
That's most definitely why they do that. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I have South Carolina here. Speaking of states, though, that's what this is all about. They assess the likelihood of states to go vegan. So one of the things they use in this very crude scoring system they've devised is like the vegan interest score, which is the Google rating of vegan. Which that's
Yeah,
what we talked about a few weeks ago. Someone had ranked states
and
according to that.
and I hate that. I think that is a
Yeah,
bad
it is.
measure.
Yeah, well, that appears to be exactly 1/4 of the this assessment, because there's the vegan versus meat savings score to show how much you would save. All these are between 0 and 100, and they probably just normalize it so that the highest one has 100. So 100 shouldn't be interpreted as perfect, but rather the highest of any of the states. The vegan restaurants score and the vegan meetup groups score. And what they did is, it looks to me like they just straight averaged these numbers, all 4 of them. So they're all weighted exactly the same. And from that, decided which states are you most likely to go vegan if you live in that state. And I guess then the conclusion would be that if you want to go vegan, you should move to one of these so that you become likely to go vegan. A little bit of weird. But number one, not surprising because we've seen this before, probably in that vegan interesting, is Hawaii.
Yep.
And I think it was the vegan interesting. It might have been the vegan restaurants thing because they have 100 points in that one. So
I think it was vegan restaurants, yeah, per capita or something.
Right. So they're the best, highest vegan restaurant state per capita, I think, and that's why they won. But they had scores that were pretty good in all of the categories, including a 98 almost in vegan meetups. So anyway, number 2 Oregon, 3 California, 4 New York, 5 Washington, 6 Colorado, 7 Florida, 8 North Carolina. Doug, that's you. And
I
if you
know.
go in my backyard, it's me too. But but in my house, I'm all the way down the list. I'm not even in the top 20.
Way down on the vegan interest score, but pretty good on the vegan versus meat savings score.
The 100.
Actually, perfect.
Best state in the union. And then further down on this article, Doug, I think you have it up. You can scan down. They actually show the vegan versus meat savings per pound United States map, and they show all the states and how much you save. I don't know how they figured all this stuff out. They measured it. Here we go. Measuring beef and chicken prices per pound against tofu in the largest city of each state. So
against tofu.
Like I said, yeah, I know. And they just picked one city and did it. So a little bit of a crude measure there, but whatever. It's okay. Anyway, so North Carolina is the best. South Carolina not far behind. North Carolina will save you $6.40 per pound if you buy that tofu over.
Wow.
And I guess they're talking about Charlotte because I think that's the largest city in North Carolina.
Probably.
So that's pretty big savings compared to the other
It
states,
is.
which are more in like the $4 range for the most part. In South Carolina here, $5.25 is all that I would save on my tofu, if I'm getting that. Yeah. So
And in Vermont, tofu is more expensive.
I thought, negative
Negative.
21. Yeah. So they had a zero. They had a zero on the.
Sorry, I
so-
got
where- What do you got there?
I got a phone call
coming
there.
in?
My bad.
Okay. Yeah, they had a zero in their ratings. So they were the worst of the states in their vegan versus meat savings score. And yeah, it is more
Wow.
expensive. I wonder why that is. Probably because Ben and Jerry's has something to do with it. That corporate racket. Are they Vermont?
Ben and Jerry's? Yeah, it's Vermont.
Yeah, blame them. Okay, so that's that. And then the worst ones, Wyoming, number 1 worst, number 2 worst, Arkansas, 3 West Virginia, 4 South Dakota, 5 Mississippi. I mean, I don't mean to stereotype, but these are not surprising that these are the worst ones. This is
Yeah.
the states you would assume are not looking for vegan diets very much. Yeah, South Dakota has the worst vegan restaurants in the country as far as per capita, I guess.
0. Like,
No,
I mean,
no, it's
right,
just-
like you said, I guess that
it's
means
the
that
worst.
it's
They just normalized. They rated them all, and then the worst got a 0, the highest got 100, and everybody just
Uh-huh.
got stretched, I guess, to be in
Yeah.
that range. So anyway, I mean, kind of fun. These things are nearly worthless, but they're kind of fun. I saw. I wish I could. Darn it, I can't remember the article. I passed on an article a few weeks ago that was on like a VPN website, internet VPN something. It was a really interesting plant-based topic. Oh, it was about why do some vegans hate veganuary? And apparently they had all these quotes from like hardcore ethical vegans who thought veganuary was like a dumbing down mainstream version, like encouraging people to just do it for a month was a bad idea because it's really about doing it for
Come
life.
on.
But it was on
Worst vegan guy ever would be all
totally.
about that.
It was like his article meant for him. But it
We
was
haven't
on
heard from him in a while, by the way.
No, we haven't. I forgot he existed actually. So we'll have to bring him back sometime. But anyway, that was on a VPN site, so I figured just couldn't do it. I mean, what are they doing with that content? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a hard stop here in 5 minutes. We can get into another one.
Hold on. Mr.
Yeah.
Jeffrey asked if California is pretty low if he's reading it backwards. California was ranked number 3 and most likely to go vegan in the total list. And then in the savings per pound, it was not that high. Well, I mean, $5.11. That's pretty high. But not top tier.
I mean, California's so big that's meaningless if you're talking about Northern California because they
That
just
is
went to
true.
one city, and which must be probably LA.
Yeah.
Is
good
LA.
point. Mhm.
Yeah, weird. I mean, these lists are never really that good, but whatever. All right. Quick headline beef aside here with Veg News, and we'll talk really quickly about their non-dairy milks article. People like when we talk about the headlines from like an editorial.
I think that you like it.
All right. I hate when sites do this. They put 2 like unknowns, like 2 curiosity things in one headline, and it bothers me to no end. A very simple example, and Veg News has gone full board on this. So they'll say like, why this vegan chicken giant is turning its attention to dairy-free gelato. Do you see that there's 2 things in there, right? It could just be this vegan chicken giant is turning its attention to dairy-free gelato, or it could be why Tyndall, which is the actual name of the chicken giant, why they are turning their attention to gelato. But when they say why this person did this, or I don't know, it seems to me like it's not the most effective way to write a headline. But a better example, right after that, is chicken healthy? Question mark. Why the truth may surprise you. Like, just be the truth may surprise you, and that's enough. Like that would do it. But no, we need to know why the truth may surprise us. So I came across that today. It wasn't in a great mood at the time, and I thought, I just can't stand this like race to the bottom of headline writing and just media and clickbait in general. But whatever. I like Veg News for a lot of other reasons, including this article we're going to talk about very quickly in 3 minutes time. We've been punting it for the past few days. 7 creamy dairy-free milk options at coffee shops. I've been to Starbucks 2 times in the past 4 days, which is a lot for me. And when I
Wow.
went there during, I dropped my daughter off for a birthday party after I got the Impossible Whopper on Sunday. I went to Starbucks, sat down, did a little work type stuff on the computer, and I got an oat milk flat white decaf. And
Wow. What is a flat white? Non froth, just steam.
yeah, they explained it to me. I don't really remember what it was. I think it was just steamed. I'm not really sure. She said it was creamier than a cabbage because I think typically they would use whole milk in it. That's what she said first. Like we use whole milk instead of some other with like their default milk. In this case, they would use whole. So I think I sort of defeated the purpose by just getting a plant milk in it. But I did pick oat because I figured that would be creamy, and it was pretty good. But anyway, Veg News gives us 7 dairy milk options at coffee shops. Some of them are very obscure, but I think the most interesting part of this article is what they say in number 1 about soy milk. That it's really being phased out. It was once the only option, and it was for years. Now it's being phased out to make room for make way for the newer milks. It has lost favor with many consumers due to some lingering backlash of misinformation. I'm reading directly here surrounding this innocent vegan beverage. More on the latter here, and no, soy doesn't give you man boobs.
I like that. I like that they call this out here.
Me too. I mean, soy definitely has a PR problem for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't. It is. They are correct in saying that it really does not. All these scare things about soy are not real. In fact, it's healthy, and helps prevent many of the things that it is reputed to actually cause.
Right.
But yeah, it's a good point. Like I think it really is good in coffees, but it just seems like it's not cool anymore. It just seems like such a 1990s or like early 2000s like drink. Like it used to be the only thing, so it just seems like it's just not so good. But I don't know. I like soy. I'm team soy milk when it comes to also high protein. If you care about protein, soy is like one of the best of these plant milks.
What was the plant milk that everyone was raving about the other day that Silk creates?
Yeah,
new milk.
I think it might be new milk.
New milk.
It's not milk. That was a different company.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeffrey, I think, could tell us, or Bianca. People loved it. They said.
Yeah, I wonder how that does in a coffee drink.
Yeah, I mean, aside from chemistry issues, which whoever it was it Danielle Pierman or something like that? They could tell us about that. But like, so as Veg News goes on here, we gotta wrap up here. They talk about some of them curdling, like coconut milk. You add that to black coffee, and it will curdle. Can curdle your coffee if you use it as a creamer. So, maybe that near milk has some side effects that are unanticipated, like you said, with these highly processed foods. We don't know what will happen. Anyway, the others they mentioned, almond milk. I think almond milk has too much of a strange flavor for me to be my go-to coffee choice, and a choice for a lot of things, really. Oat milk, I think, is pretty good. They mentioned that one. I've enjoyed that. Almost any time I've had oat milk in anything, it's been good.
Yep.
And then coconut milk.
Definitely the most popular, it seems, in recently, yeah.
Growing in popularity. Then coconut, which I don't honestly get too much. Macadamia and pistachio and hybrids, which I never see any of these. So yeah, they mentioned some hybrids. They don't mention the one that we were trying to get the name of. But anyway, Doug, today.
Yep. Yeah, I've never had any of those last 3 in a.
No, you don't see those. Those are pretty rare.
But would be interested to try, especially like some of the ones. Like I would imagine that macadamia nut would have a flavor. Or pistachio might have a flavor to it, and be interesting. If you had if you're doing some sort of like latte that was pistachio flavored latte kind of thing, that might be kind of interesting.
That would be good. I like it. Good point, Doug. All right. Well, we got to go. Everyone, thanks for coming. Get in that Discord. You never know when Doug or I or both of us might hop into the lounge. You need to change the name of that immediately this second to Steam Room. Done. So hang out in Discord. Keep an eye on the Steam Room and see what happens. Otherwise, thanks for submitting the questions. Thanks for keeping that Discord going. It really has a lot of activity in it, and it is really fun to go check that out and chime in.
It sure is. Yep.
So, all right. Until tomorrow, then. Enjoy the Ides of March. Be careful. Watch out for your best friends. They may not be who you think they are.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We will see you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.